Guys, let's talk today about lambing on pasture. We run our sheep on pasture 365 days a year. We just use electric sheep net to keep them contained. We typically set up two sections of 164-foot long sheep net every time we move them. So when we need to move them to a new paddock, we just grab another section of sheep net, set it up, and move them to the next paddock. So we're already well into the lambing season for 2024. We have two sets of twins, and then we got a single. You can see a couple of our little lambs down here. So that's our two ram twins. Those are from the ewe that we call Taggy. In the background you can see our ewe Diamond. She's kind of off to the left over there. She's got her tail up, and that's a sign that she's getting ready to have a lamb. So she's currently in labor, and she's not pushing or anything like that yet, so she's at the early stages right now. But I wanted to talk about kind of what to expect and what you should do if you know that your sheep's about to give birth. So first thing that you want to do is you want to make sure that you don't have any adult rams or like older juvenile rams in the paddock with ewe that's going to be in labor. So you should have taken them out well before that point. The rams tend to get really excited, and they'll start to chase and try to breed with a ewe that's in labor. And I have experienced that for myself with our winter lamb that we had this last year. So I've definitely learned that you want to take your rams out before there's a chance that they're going to give, the ewes are going to give birth. So once you got those guys separated out, that's a huge burden off of you, because otherwise you're trying to separate them in the moment, and it's really difficult to do that, and it's really stressful for the ewe. The next thing is you just want to make sure that they have enough space. So if you're doing intensive managed grazing and you have them in a smaller paddock because you wanted the higher stocking density or something like that, that's fine. But when it gets time for them to be given birth, you want to make sure that they have some more space. They need a little bit of space to themselves. They won't feel comfortable if they're just cramped into a tiny place. They need a little bit of room away from the other sheep. So they're going to kind of be wandering around looking for a quiet place, and you want to make sure that they have a little bit more space. So sometimes we run our sheep with just one section of sheep net. We kind of go back and forth. They spend a couple hours on the first move of the day in just a single net, and then the second part of the day they spend the rest of that time in a double section of sheep net, so they have a lot more space. And that's so that we don't have to worry about trying to move them in the middle of the night or something like that. But if you're gonna have a sheep that's gonna be giving birth, you want to make sure that they're probably in more like a double section or larger of sheep net. Not that they couldn't do it in a single, but if you have a really high stocking density in a single sheep net, it's just going to be more uncomfortable for that ewe to try and go through the process of giving birth. So right now you can see that Diamond is just laying down, and she's getting a lot closer at this point. I don't really see any pushing going on, but she's getting really close. I think she's pretty much finding her space, finding her place that she's gonna stay to give birth. She might get up and spin around a little bit and be a little bit uncomfortable, but that's probably where she's gonna spend her time and go through this process. So eventually you might even hear some pushing going on and a little bit of grunting, and you'll see that tail kind of sticking up. Once they start pushing is really the time that you got to pay attention to how long it's taken. If they're taking much more than an hour once they really start pushing, then you may have to help. which usually isn't that big a deal. Yep, it looks like we got some pushing going on there. So that's what you can expect. So right now that I've seen that, I would actually look at the time and note that it's 9:18. So if she's pushing for much more than an hour, she might need some help. Eventually what you want to see is you want to see the lamb in kind of a what they call a diving position. So you want to see the two front hooves and the snout sticking out. If the lamb's not presenting that way, then that could cause some difficulties and you may have to assist. I haven't actually seen that with any of mine. They've all presented properly. Well, it's just something to look out for. If you see back hooves, then you have a breech situation, and that's going to be really difficult for the ewe. But we've had lambs born in bad weather in the middle of winter. We've had lambs born in spring when it's kind of rainy out and stuff. And they're all super healthy. We have these three that are right here in front of us. You see it's a set of twin ewes and then the single ram. They're all doing awesome. They were born, it was pretty cold. It was frosty. And then we have another set of twin rams, and it was pretty chilly when they were born too, but it's really not an issue for these guys. If anything, it just seems to make them a lot more hardy.
Shut the door.